Senator Blumenthal just delivered a devastating blow that should terrify every American who believes in justice. When he pressed Trump's Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi about weaponization and political prosecutions, she didn't defend the Constitution. She attacked his military service. What you're about to see is a desperate nominee melting down when confronted with Trump's own words about targeting enemies.
Senator Hawley, that weaponization of our justice system must end. That's the reason that I propose legislation, and I challenge him and my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to join me in legislation that would create a statutory right of action for people who are selectively or maliciously prosecuted for political reasons. It would codify your manual, the Department of Justice manual, on political prohibitions against political considerations in charging decisions, and prohibit the White House from intervening, President Trump and any other president from intervening in charging decisions. It would make reforms to the grand jury process. You've just said this grand jury was liberal. We should reform the grand jury process to ensure that the government is not abusing its power and authority, and it will require transparency and accountability reforms at DOJ so that you will and other attorneys general be held accountable for these kinds of decisions. Will you join me in supporting that kind of reform?
Senator Blumenthal, I find it so interesting that you didn't bring any of this up during President Biden's administration when he was doing everything to protect Hunter Biden, his son. And I think you just saw what Director Radcliffe just released.
You know, this is an effort to be positive.
If I can finish answering the question, I'm not going to yell over you. I'm not going to get in the gutter with you. But information that the Biden administration told them not to investigate Hunter Biden's involvement with Ukraine. I'm not going to be lectured to you about integrity by someone who lied about being in the military just to be elected a senator.
The merger between Hewlett-Packard Enterprises and Juniper Network was settled. You authorized the settlement. It was the subject of a lawsuit to block it. The settlement produced virtually no concessions from Hewlett-Packard. It was a settlement that prompted criticism from the Antitrust Division. Did you authorize that settlement yourself?
As I stated earlier, Gail Slater is doing an incredible job running the antitrust unit. And as I stated earlier, that is still a pending matter. As you should know with a law degree, that all mergers. If I can finish answering the question.
I'm going to,
if I could finish. No, I'm answering the question.
Because my time is limited.
No, well then don't ask me a question. So,
let me just ask you,
as I said, you have a law degree. You know that not only are mergers agreed upon, but they have to go to a court of law to be approved. It's a multi-step process. And as I said earlier, that is still pending. And I have full faith in Gail Slater.
And Ms. Slater reportedly objected to the settlement.
Reportedly.
And moreover, two of her top officials were fired, Roger Alford and Bill Sinner. Did you authorize and direct those firings after they objected to the settlement?
I am not going to discuss personnel matters or pending litigation in my office.
Let me ask you about another merger. The merger involving two home health care agencies on favorable terms, likely to drive up costs for millions of Americans. The Transportation Department's rule to provide compensation to travelers impacted by airline-caused flight delays, which was canceled. The merger of Skydance and Paramount, after Paramount's ownership took a number of steps favorable to the president. These kinds of mergers belie the claims that President Trump himself has made, that this administration will stop big corporate mergers that ultimately benefit the owners of those corporations rather than consumers or ordinary, everyday Americans.
Senator,
And let me ask you
boy, you
about
just listed,
particularly,
you just gave a
well,
list
let me just finish.
of many
I
mergers.
have a
Can
question
you
for
talk
you.
to me about the issue with these mergers?
I do have a question. In the merger that took place,
Which
that was
merger? You've
approved
listed many.
involving American Express GBT, I understand that Brian Ballard, longtime backer and head of the law firm where you worked, was instrumental in lobbying the Justice Department to drop that lawsuit. It was dismissed, so it's not subject to a court review. What conversation did you have with Mr. Ballard?
Senator Blumenthal, I cannot believe that you would accuse me of impropriety when you lied about your military service.
I am
you
not
lied.
asking
You
you,
admitted you
I am
lied
not
to be
accusing you
elected
of
a U.S. senator.
impropriety. I'm
You
asking
lied.
you
How
about
dare you? I'm a
conversations
career
with
prosecutor.
Mr.
Don't you
Ballard,
ever challenge my integrity.
had
I have
apparently-
abided by every ethics standard. Do not question my ability to be fair and impartial as Attorney General, and anything
You'll
with
answer that
my
question to
former
another of my
firm,
colleagues.
Ballard Partners.
Thank you.
Senator Lee has asked for the chair.
Yeah, just wanted to note for the record, the Paramount merger that he referenced was not within the Department of Justice's ambit. That was at the FCC, not the Department of Justice. Attorney General Bondi would have had nothing to do with that. Thanks.
And that was why I asked Senator Lee. He didn't know that. He was reading off a script.
Before I call on Senator Kennedy, it's kind of laughable about my Democrats friends expressing fear and concern at the Justice Department's recent attempts at holding parties responsible for their actions. I can only ask, where have they been in the last few years? They had no problem watching the Biden administration and its White House use all of its might and power to attack Trump and associates. And now even Republican senators have been selected to have their telephone records made public, or not public, but well, I guess they're public now. But Biden weaponized our institutions and didn't hear a peep from the other side. Now every investigation and prosecution under this administration, people are going to be held accountable for their actions. Senator Kennedy, or
I want extra time, Mr. Chairman.
okay.
I mean, this is, enough is enough.
Well, Cruz was next, but he wasn't here.
Senator Cruz was next.
Okay, Senator Cruz, if you're ready, go ahead.
Well, thank you, but I will welcome Senator Kennedy providing color commentary throughout my question.
I will be happy to. If we ever finish this hearing this year.
And I'll point out Senator Kennedy has a new book about testing negative for stupid, so I hope I test negative for stupid. I hope I meet the threshold of
You
of your
do
book
meet
title.
it, and I talk in the book about
What Senator Blumenthal exposed in this hearing wasn't just political theater, it was a systematic breakdown of how justice becomes weaponized when personal loyalty trumps constitutional duty. His methodical questioning revealed three critical patterns that should alarm every American, regardless of party affiliation. First, the evidence trail. Blumenthal didn't rely on speculation. He presented Trump's own social media posts demanding specific indictments, including one posted just 5 days before James Comey's actual indictment. This isn't circumstantial. It's a documented timeline showing direct presidential interference in prosecutorial decisions. When Bondi refused to discuss any conversations with Trump about these cases, she wasn't protecting executive privilege. She was concealing the very coordination that transforms independent law enforcement into political enforcement. Second, the dinner revelation. That photograph Blumenthal showed wasn't just a social gathering. It was evidence of access and influence at the highest levels. When the Attorney General dines with the President the night before a major indictment that the President publicly demanded, The appearance of coordination becomes undeniable. Bondi's refusal to discuss what was said at that dinner, combined with her dismissive attitude about the timing, suggests she understands exactly how damaging the truth would be. Third, and most revealing, was Bondi's deflection strategy. Instead of addressing the substantive questions about prosecutorial independence, she immediately pivoted to personal attacks on Blumenthal's military service record. This wasn't righteous indignation, it was desperation. When a nominee for the nation's top law enforcement position responds to oversight questions by attacking the questioner's character, it reveals someone who views congressional oversight as an enemy to be destroyed rather than a constitutional duty to be respected. The broader implications extend far beyond this hearing room. If confirmed, Bondi would oversee investigations into the very tatterns Blumenthal documented. Her responses suggest she views loyalty to Trump as superseding loyalty to the Constitution. This creates a chilling effect where career prosecutors must choose between following evidence and keeping their jobs. Blumenthal's legislation proposal for statutory protections against political prosecutions wasn't grandstanding. It was a lifeline for institutional integrity. His challenge to Republicans to join him in codifying these protections exposes the hypocrisy of those who claim to oppose weaponization while supporting nominees who embody it. The stakes couldn't be clearer. Democracy survives when institutions remain independent of political manipulation. When they become instruments of personal vengeance, justice dies and authoritarianism begins. This hearing wasn't about partisan politics. It was about whether we'll have an attorney general who sees the law as a shield for democracy or a sword for revenge. Bondi's evasions and attacks signal which path she'd choose. The American people deserve transparency, not deflection. They deserve justice, not loyalty tests. If we normalize this behavior now, we surrender the very principles that separate democratic governance from authoritarian rule.